stuff.
All right, Laura, we're going to make things hopefully easier for you. We're going to simply read the prompts you gave us. That way you know where things kind of fit in. And then we'll see if we're somewhat eloquent with our responses, I guess.
I'm not promising anything, though.
You'll have to do a lot of editing.
Yeah, and then you can put the you can put the words down here.
That's pretty good.
The question, and then we'll just answer it.
I like that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. Share your quick AIW elevator speech with the surrounding districts interested in AIW.
I would say AIW is an ongoing professional learning model that gets everyone learning at all times. And when they get to the classroom, then they start thinking about making their instruction more relevant and more rigorous and how to engage kids more often.
That notion of ongoing reminds me of an investment that you're putting time and practice into your teacher's hands. An experience where we're learning from one another and through one another, and as David said again, in an ongoing fashion, through lesson design, redesign, critical constructive feedback, and a comfortable, safe atmosphere. It's very time effective as well.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say this is part of my quick elevator speech, but one of the awesome things about it is working with professionals on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, and especially the teachers that you don't normally work with in your content area, and drawing on their expertise from a different angle or a different lens is pretty invaluable.
How has AIW enhanced not only your skills as a teacher, but your relationships with your colleagues? It allows us to see that we always hear of the accolades, the great things people are doing, and I know personally I think, well, what am I doing? I'm missing something.
Yeah.
All these great things are happening, and day to day we find the small struggles. AIW calls out the idea that we all have those daily struggles. We have moments of success, but moments where we need support as well. And this provides that comfortable atmosphere where we can ask our colleagues for support, specific support, what we need help with, instead of what's being presented to us as, here's what you need. It's immediate.
Mm-hmm. When I first started, I was working with my 8th grade house. So I was an 8th grade math teacher, and then we scored with all the other content areas in just the 8th grade house. And just from a personal perspective, from the teachers that I worked with every day, I still didn't know what they were doing in their classroom every day. So this is an opportunity to kind of get a different look at my colleagues and seeing where my kids that I was teaching, kind of what they were doing on a daily basis. And it's not just like when you score a task, you're not just hearing it like you would from a teacher. They're like, hey, we're doing this today in a 30-second snippet. You get to dig deep and see what the kids are actually doing. But then you get to give feedback about what you really like. I know I always try to steal something every time we have a scoring session. But for that teacher who's presenting, that's a really great opportunity to get feedback and to grow. One
of the comments that was presented to a team of leaders last year in our AIW professional learning was, and this goes to question number 4, by the way, in what ways has AIW positively impacted the climate and culture?
Mm-hmm.
And one of our teachers, Pam Schwendinger, said at the end of each session, let's wrap up with not only what did the presenting teacher gain, what did David bringing a task gain, what did we all gain? And we're hearing a lot of wonderful things come about. What we're learning from one another, both in terms of practice and just, as Dave was mentioning, just that notion of what's happening in the building, the great things that are happening and the struggles that are happening too, and how we can capitalize on those situations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's been probably the most powerful part, is when you change that mindset of AIW, it'll start as the teacher who's presenting will get the feedback. And that's how I started with my first school that I did this with, and when we rolled it out to Roosevelt this year. That's kind of the mindset of a lot of teachers right now, is the person that's bringing the task is going to get the feedback. But what Chris just mentioned is when you can change that mindset to a growth mindset, and you have kind of a goal that you're going to try to take one piece. Every single person is going to take one thing out of a scoring session, and then the entire building, the entire district is learning every professional development day. when it looks on the surface that there's only a handful of teachers that are going to be doing the learning. When you can get everyone learning at the same time and learning individually and learning specifically what's going to help their needs at that time, it's super powerful.
And tell you what, in Dubuque, starting with Friday PDs, hour in the morning, which we're fortunate to have, it's a wonderful way to start the day. The support that's evident from the get-go. 7:05, when we're in here, you start on a positive note. That positive note being, we're here, working, collaborating, supporting one another.
Mm-hmm.
Finish the sentence, David. When I think about how I've grown professionally through the AW process,
I think about how bad I am at finishing sentences. Should we check to make sure that sounds good before
Sure.
we...
We'll be right back.